Lasst uns heute in ein Museum gehen, und zwar Museum of Glass in Corning.
Out and about.
Wer jetzt nicht genau weiß, wo Corning liegt, das verstehe ich. Das Ganze befindet sich in den Finger Lakes, also in der Region of New York State, ungefähr am halben Weg zwischen New York City und den Niagara Fällen. Es ist ca. 290 Kilometer entfernt von Pittsburgh, 320 von Toronto, 400 Kilometer von New York City. Also es liegt nicht direkt an einer wirklich weltberühmten Stadt. Aber es kann durchaus sein, dass ihr bei einem Roadtrip exakt hier vorbeikommt. Und dann würde ich mal vorschlagen, schaut euch dieses Museum an. $25 Eintritt für einen Erwachsenen. Jeden Tag von 9 Uhr früh bis 5 Uhr nachmittags geöffnet. Für nähere Infos schaut auf die Seite Corning Museum of Glass. Ihr findet alle Informationen natürlich online. Ja, dieser Kanal kann nie groß werden, aber ich möchte natürlich auch die kleineren Sachen herzeigen, die vielleicht nicht jeder andere deutschsprachige Kanal behandelt. Viel Spaß nun in diesem Museum und mit diesen Aufnahmen. Hinten nach noch eine kleine Handyaufnahme, aber trotzdem, es gibt dort auch eine kleine Vorführung, wie eben Glas hergestellt wird, was aus Glas gemacht werden kann. Da ein paar Eindrücke. Gute Reise!
and then we have a color that we can essentially inflate, and it'll dissipate the tone as we continue to inflate it. This is a pretty small amount of glass that Abigail has. It's enough to make maybe a little juice glass or candy dish. She wants to make something a little bit larger. So that furnace that she got this glass from, that she's about to go to again, it's set at around 2,100 degrees Fahrenheit, or 1150 Celsius. At that temperature, it's about the consistency of panini. So here's a little animation on the screen that basically gives you a view of what it's like inside of that furnace. So there's a large ceramic crucible, and when it's full, there's about 1,000 pounds of that molten material in there. She's turning continuously right now, particularly at this stage, because of that glass at that consistency. If she were to stop turning right now, it would just a blob would go to the ground, a little tail attached to that interior bubble of hers. But she's going to be turning this entire process, even when the glass is sort of in its coldest and rigid state, just to keep things as on center as possible. She's shaping it nice and round again. She's doing that using a wooden scoop tool called a block. You'll get surprised that we hold wooden tools against 2,000 degree material, but that wood is always wet. She soaked it already. It's not held against that material very long, so it's made out of fruit woods. Typically we use cherry wood often in here because it has a nice dense tight grain. It burns slowly and has a low sap content, so it doesn't mark the glass very much. Now she's using this flexible pad, which is just several sheets of newspaper folded up. Again, soaked at all times. She's got a little squirt bottle next to her if she wants to keep, if it feels like it's getting a little dry, she can add a little bit of water to it. We use those for about a week. Those will last us, and they don't fall apart because they're burning away. It's more that it's just soak paper and it starts to kind of fall apart because of that moisture. But we love that tool because it's pretty much the closest that we can get to shaping the glass with our hands. So the glass also cools fairly rapidly. So she's gone into this secondary reheating furnace. This furnace is also set at a similar temperature to our melting one. It's about 2,100 degrees Fahrenheit. So I told you before, if she'd come out of that other furnace and stopped, there would just be a dribble that would go down to the ground. But at this point, if she stopped, all that would just kind of sag. So we have to reintroduce that heat so we can continue to shape and inflate this to our liking. So you can see that orange glow. That's, again, an indicator of the heat when she's sitting down. She doesn't see that when she's staring into an orange furnace. So pretty much what she's going to be paying attention to throughout the remainder of this process is just the movement of the material. That's the indicator that she's looking for to tell her how hot this is. She's picked up probably the most commonly used tool in the studio. It's a tool called the jacks. So she put a constriction in this bubble, and now she's actually stretching it towards me. So she's made this tubular top and then this kind of bulbous bottom. Lines up those irons so they're on the same plane, and in a moment here, she's going to use that thermal shock to her advantage with either a cold tool or some water at that constriction. Give her a pipe a light tap, which will send a vibration to that point, break this piece free, and we can start working on the top of it. Light tap, breaks free, and what do y'all say to give them a round of applause for a lovely, successful transfer? And our glass, most of the glass that you encounter in the world is soda lime glass. These windows, pickle jars, Coke bottles, all soda lime glass. So again, that soda, silica sand, and then soda ash is added to that silica sand to lower the melting temperature of it because silica melts at close to 4,000 degrees. So 20% of this material is actually made of that soda ash to lower this silica sand to have a melting temperature of about 2,300, and then we've had about 10% limestone. We have a variety of torches that we use in this studio. That torch that Abigail's holding is just hooked up to some propane. That rod into the wall of that bubble. So that hot glass is heating up the wall, so now that when she starts pulling it, it actually starts drawing the wall into that hot glass, and as she stretches it, it becomes a tube where that solid steel rod is, it's hollow all the way to that bubble. A bit more gesture makes this kind of really nice sort of S spout. Then she'll grab her shears again, the ancient technique. Romans are credited as being the first glass makers in Roman times. So one final element on this, Abigail has a brief moment here while this has some heat if she wants to make any kind of just slight adjustment, but for the most part that spout is essentially complete. Abigail will now apply this directly across from that spout. Gives the signal to go vertical, presses it down, starts to stretch it. We'll make this little constriction in it, and then start to stretch it some more, which will give this nice taper, and then cuts it free, touches it down, and we get this beautiful, elegant, sort of C-shaped handle. Right where that punty meets that foot. give that pipe a little tap, which will send a vibration to that point, break this piece free. We'll put it away in this oven for slow cooling and see it tomorrow. So this lovely Ambellino. Just using that torch to fire polish.